copy that you have, and they really prioritize it extremely highly. And I actually think that our map is ready for the third game, and it's of course the final game of the set. So I'm really curious what the final map is going to be, because for one of the two teams, it is going to be the last map they play here.
More macro focused here, as Sky Temple is the pickup. However, this time it's going to be by CE.
Yeah, and this is also, of course, another map where we will have a lot of teamfight potential as well. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to be played now. The macro play with globals, especially around the second temple phase, is extremely important. But oftentimes you're forced into these 5 versus 5 plays still, and this is something that CE looked very good at.
Now, CE picked the map.
Yep, their second pick.
Which means that their second pick.
I see where you're going with this.
Are you forced to ban Illidan, or are you forced to try and counter it? Because Illidan, 2 for 2 in this series, high priority.
Well, I will say, CE is always banning Stitches, but only from a first pick position. Last time they got into the second pick position versus Tempest, they ended up banning Genji. Is Genji more of a scare, or is Illidan?
Right now, I'm saying Illidan.
The thing about the Stitches bans is also that when we saw Stronger against MVP Black on Stitches, that was highly impressive. He did so much to put his team in a position where they nearly won the map. Of course, we're talking about a bit of a different battleground. Tomb of the Spider Queen was always one of the best maps for Stitches. But I could definitely see them just say they are changing their ban pattern here. That would make a lot of sense to me. But as you said, Illidan, he seems to be the one threat that has to be recognized here, and we have seen both the teams put a high priority on him, so a ban wouldn't really shock me.
Yeah, it seems like...
That took no time at all.
Huh.
But this could lead... Okay, so Genji is going to get through. So Genji, obviously, I think, was played really well last game, but this could be an early Dahaka pickup as well for DeadlyKittens.
I hope that DeadlyKittens recognize, and I'm sure they've done their homework, but CE and SPT, honestly, have not really been playing Stitches. So if DeadlyKittens really wants to make sure that they get their Stitches for Scroll, it may not be that they necessarily have to pick it now.
You can definitely gamble a little bit. It's one of those things where you feel not really comfortable letting a pick like that pass, but if you have studied your opponent, you can take that gamble and say, okay, we might get even more here. And in a series like this, you might have to use that play.
And SPT, I should know, have been picking Stitches since, of course, they're playing with Simba. But for the most part, those two teams really have not prioritized that warrior. They've had a lot more focus into Arthas. But DeadlyKittens are counting this down. Genji's up, Uther's up. There's so many important picks here.
Look, if we go Dahaka, we give up...
Oh, they're going to do it.
They go Stitches. So that does give up the potential Genji in Uther. And the one thing about that is that Stitches is kind of... Oh, wow.
I actually think that the Kittens are going to be quite happy with that. I mean, we knew that they want Stitches if they don't ban him, and they were heavily discussing what they are going to head into, but I don't think they necessarily expected this.
Yeah, but you would have to take him with no invulnerability. Genji, that is.
Here's the thing about this, is that even if you don't get Genji, if you're on the side of CE, you could potentially get the Greymane. So I think that's going to be the big selling point here, is somebody's got to pick up Genji. And if you don't pick up Genji here as DeadlyKittens, then you need to try and look to Greymane and ban out the Genji. Those are the two high priority heroes, especially with Illidan already off the board, that could benefit the most out of a Tyrael Uther combination. You normally go with a heavy dive hero, and taking those off the board, I think, have to be considered. Either you got to pick one and ban the other, or you just pick both.
Well, if you've got... If you have Greymane, then you have Cursed Bullet potentially, although we've seen a lot of go for the throat to combo off of a hook. If you take Genji, then once you lock people into a position on a temple, then you could go with a Dragon Blade on Putrid Bile. But instead, they're going to get Greymane here and Dahaka.
Now, the one thing that throws me off a little bit is the high priority on Tyrael for CE here, because Illidan is already banned out. You're more or less guaranteed that your opponent is going to pick Greymane if they don't ban him, and most likely we're going to see a ban on Genji now coming in as well. The entire thought process behind Tyrael play so far was the heavy engage with a melee assassin. And CE must have known what's going to happen here, so I'm really curious what exactly the combo is going to be for them.
Yeah, it does feel like there's something up their sleeve.
Yeah, right?
It?
But here's the thing, is that Stitches, Dahaka, Greymane aren't exactly heroes that tremble in their boots at a Genji. Now, obviously, with the Uther and Tyrael, it makes it a little bit scarier prospect. But Greymane hopping into Worgen form gets that armor. Dahaka has great survivability. Stitches has an incredibly high health pool. So things like that, you might not necessarily need to ban the Genji. They might have other things they're keeping in mind here. Genji seems like the safer ban, but maybe they think that if CE's not going to pick it in the first rotation, then maybe they're not going to pick it at all.
I'm definitely intrigued what we're going to see on the side of CE. There's no doubt about it. Also, with Uther and Tyrael, you can spec into Sanctification and Divine Shield, and you can keep someone alive just for weeks. Or you can make use of Uther stun. Tyrael, we have seen him played in this tournament also with Judgment. I doubt that this is going to be the play there, at least if there's going to be cleanse on the side of the Kittens. And also you need something to really combo a good nuke potential off. But Genji is indeed banned out, and that was what we've been talking about. These are the obvious bans and picks after the original start that we saw here. So what exactly did CE have in mind when they went for Tyrael and Uther? And I really hope that this is going to showcase that now.
I mean, they're not bad heroes in their own right. You just normally see them. It's almost like Tassidar's not a bad hero by himself, but he's definitely better when he has an auto-attack hero that can benefit more off of his shields and that life leech.
Tyrael and Uther are fine, but normally you see them...
There is one
you
melee.
See Tyrael a little bit later when you have already...
There is one melee assassin that likes protection.
I know.
There's
who
Lunara.
you are insinuating.
Oh, you know.
DeadlyKittens knows too.
DeadlyKittens knows too. They played it.
Fresh meat.
Well, I
would rather see a Malthael, to be honest.
Just let it happen.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I personally, I think, would still prefer a Malthael with this. Malthael with a double support is actually absolutely brutal. If you can keep him alive and you have him in the late game past 16, the sheer damage is amazing. And on Sky Temple, you have arguably a map where there's a lot of team fights going to happen on either the boss pit or around the temple. That being said, I wouldn't mind seeing a Butcher.
I mean, I don't know if you know.
Come on, team.
I don't know if you realize how much we'd have to deal with J-How.
Yeah, okay.
Let alone
You're
the
right.
Butcher.
I don't want a Butcher.
Double global. Now, I talk about this sometimes, is that sometimes double global is too much of a good thing sometimes. You know, Falstad, they needed a range damage dealer to put in the backline with Greymane to fit their composition. Falstad does fit that role. It fits... The thing I like most about it is that Tyrael's health pool, it's not small. It's smaller than most warriors, but he's more around the anti-mage damage dealers. And the fact that, you know, you're going to be going up against that, you can spread some of that damage out. I'm just a little bit surprised maybe we didn't see the Li Ming, but the potential dive of Tyrael, Uther, and whatever this is.
Sonya?
I was wondering, Sonya too.
I mean,
I'm just like racking my brain for melee assassins.
Yeah.
What's the most benefit from that?
Same here, because you need still damage. Damage needs to be part of the equation here. So Sonya would fit. Malthael later on has a shot. We've seen Malthael with Lunara. It's a lot of damage, and Rhaegar is going to have a rough time healing all of that out.
This is
You
China.
need to create space.
I'm just saying.
Zagara. It seems like, do we need somebody to match the global? This is China. They brought Zagara back in, but they went with another hero that starts with Z.
That's a lot of protection for Lunara and a hero that wants to stay hidden.
I am not... I mean, this is one of Zeratil's best map, if not his best map, but I'm not sure how I like it in this composition.
It's just the priority on Tyrael that really led me to believe that they have something up their sleeves where they want to have the same aggression that they can get with an Illidan or with a Greymane, playing around a good Sanctification. But with how high they prioritize the hero and which heroes were already banned with Illidan taken off the board, they must have known that Greymane is not going to become an option for them, and Illidan was already banned out. So it's definitely interesting to me.
I would agree. They've got Zeratul to try to get the kills off of the Lunara poisons, and they do have a lot of things to slow things down, like Void Prison and Sanctification.
Well, we will see how this plays out, Caldor, as we're headed into game number 3 here. One of these teams stays with us for another day. The other one goes home.
And to the right side, we have in red the Kittens, once again deadly as they are, with Rhaegar as their support for the range damage, Greymane and Falstad. And we have for the second global, Dehaka, and also Stitches now as their main tank.
CE will be in blue with their tournament lives on the line. Substitute there is Shy, going to be on Lunara. Zuyu on the Tassadar. Luful on the Uther. Paradise, we're going to see what he can bring on the Zeratul. And Wind, we're going to see as well on the Tyrael, who gets hooked in instantly. And Zaze goes in for the aggressive barrel roll there, Caldor.
Yeah, maybe not the best choice there. Falstad immediately dying.
What?
I like that Stronger said hello with a good hook. He already introduced his hook skills when they were playing against MVP Black, but that's now a double kill against the Deadly Kittens right away. The Deadly Kittens very quickly turn into the Dead Kittens
That
here.
was Dead Kittens as well. Just drop that LOI real quick. But that barrel roll, Zay is trying to make the plays. Wait a
Or
minute.
he just misclicked.
I'm hoping it was
It
a
happens.
misclick.
I mean, or he was just very, very motivated. Who
Guys,
knows?
but we're in here. I mean, I know this hook and pulled the hero behind me, but look what I can do.
I mean, right now, the double support that we see for CE is definitely going to focus heavily on Onara. What kind of role Tyrael can play, we're going to find out soon. Keep in mind that with the Zeratul, there's always that game changer on lane if you don't pay attention. But as the setup goes, we have also Falstad heading into an auto attack focus, so he will go and pressure especially the front line quite heavily. Again, Stronger in a bit of trouble here as he's being attacked. Vision still being fought over in this third game of the series.
You know, this is a moment when you have the global, you keep them in the bottom lane with the temples at the top and middle. You can kind of play around that. It forces a rotation out of Zeratul, which we can see on the minimap. But if it's an even trade, then it's a matter of CE doesn't mind. They leave Zeratul down there the entire time. Your kill potential is not necessarily there, and you can easily trade. But you can see NSJ, without that threat, knows that he can put some extra pressure onto this top lane and get some extra damage in there.
Yeah, also, Lunara is still very active in the mid lane here. The teams are heading into level 4 and CE grabs it slightly faster. When it comes to talents, we're seeing Tassadar at this point heading straight into the armor again on the shield. But that mid lane has already suffered a lot, especially with Chai just pressuring heavily. And he played a lot of Lunara for the team already, so I think they're a lot more comfortable having him in on that hero and in that position.
Well, this is a lane that inevitably Dahaka will win out, eating up some of that early ammo. And you can see already moving down in CE. They go down, they instantly start the camp. And Deadly Kittens, conversely, go up to the top to finish off that fort. They peppered it a little bit with the Greymane. They got the top temple. They go ahead and finish the job there.
Yeah, so they get the fort done, but we have now quite a bit of push potential at that bottom lane where everyone on the side of CE starts to pressure in, especially, of course, with that siege giant camp that they just took. And they have Tyrael in the bush double-checking if the Kittens might go for their own camp, which is indeed the case. So there is the potential for a rotation here, but we have Tassadar and Zeratul still at the top, so they let this one go, but they grab the extra XP up top lane.
The one thing that I already love that I'm seeing is that Dahaka's already gone to the top. Falstad's going to be in the middle. We'll see the night camp that will be picked up in just a moment. You can see Rhaegar already going over there. Falstad will support that. I'd love to see this double global stay in the top lane, the mid lane, try and get that pushed out, and then use your globals. And the reason why you keep Falstad middle is because his flight has a range to it. Dahaka does not. He used that, so it's on a 1-minute cooldown. It'll be back in time for that temple phase. So you can kind of have this three-pronged approach on Sky Temple. So Deadly Kittens in a prime position to try and push this a little bit further going into the second temple phase.
CE is also going for their own camp. And what I liked about Paradise's play on Zeratul was that when they were starting to get the experience up top, they kept Paradise in the middle and waited for the rotation of Falstad and immediately chunked him down to half health. So they put the pressure on. Stronger now with a good hook once again, but against Tyrael, didn't really get too much here. He immediately jumps out. Teams are now both on level 7 talents, and we have the temple activated with Falstad now flying top. And together with Enavir on the Dahaka, they're trying to get a kill against Paradise. Who
I'm
right away
really
jumps
surprised at that. You just gave up your global right at the time of the second temple phase. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, as a Dahaka player, you can push this lane out pretty hard. The only hard CC that is on this team is Uther, and Uther oftentimes isn't going to be in that solo lane pushing. So if you get in a tough spot, you can just brush Stalker out. Speaking of tough spots, NSJ and Murr going to drop here.
Yeah, that was an easy double kill that they got. No problem whatsoever. The fight down there already turning against the Kittens as Rhaegar was just simply pressured at the start, but they confirmed the kill quite quickly and get Greymane as well. So the Kittens really not getting too much out of their globals thus far. They're not really putting the pressure on. The fight at the bot lane is lost. That gives extra shots to CE. The extra experience follows, of course. And even the push at the top lane didn't give them any kind of results, with Zeratul starting to defend and then Tacita taking over.
It's definitely misuse of globals. I can't say that enough about how the potential that they had in the last few minutes. They gave up a lot of it, trying to get that pickup at the top and then being so aggressive in the bottom. It kind of perplexes me a little bit as we see level 10 has been picked up. And we've got a full level lead on the side of CE. And Stronger just walking right through as if no big deal. But the body blocks are going in, and that is going to be one dead Stitches. It's a hook for looks, I guess, but the pathing there, Caldor.
Yeah, playtime is definitely over. Stitches is down, and this is becoming really rough. This is starting. It looks more and more that as the series continues, CE feels more comfortable. They have, as I said before, Shy now also on a hero that they as a team seem to work much better with than with the Greymane that Shy was playing on Cursed Hollow. But overall, their calls are just looking better and better. And the Kittens seem, I mean, it's more like scaredy kittens at this point. They really make a lot of mistakes that, judging from the first two maps, you wouldn't have expected here.
It's definitely a tale of two parts of this series. Right now, as CE continues to put the pressure on, and middle lurking is going to be that Zeratul trying to get on as the helping hand is going to save that Falstad. Paradise will consistently look to try and either get on that Rhaegar or that Falstad, because there is no self-ancestral, and Falstad himself, very low health pool, very susceptible to those blow-up combos from Zeratul.
I mean, at this point, we have both of them on the even talent still. So there's still potential for the Kittens to show their teeth, because they really need to get some fights here. With Gorge being picked up, if Stronger is again just using those homing hooks that he has to get a good one in, they might be able to get that isolation kill. Because a lot of what this combo is about, as they have a beautiful rotation towards the boss, is isolation kills. Get the Gorge after a hook, use Falstad and his Mighty Gust to blow the opponent away, and then you can have a really good kill against one person. You turn it into a 5 versus 4 and you take it from there. Grabbing a boss and just simply sneaking it away from CE, of course, helps as well. So they're starting to make the right plays here.
They definitely made the right play there. That was a hard commitment top. There's still a siege camp that was pushing that bottom lane. So between the siege camp, the minions, and that boss, it ripped through that fort. So giving up the fort wall for that. Now we're going to see them try and get on here. Paradise, he will have the blink available. Obviously, it's hard to decloak him. Trying to hit that cocktail there.
We have, from a structural point of view, CE in an awkward spot right now, because the Kittens are actually ahead when you look at the structures on the map. And the level 13 talent might give CE the advantage they need in team fights. But overall, just playing the map, the Kittens are doing pretty well. Now starting to use the double global a little bit more efficiently. First of all, to sneak experience, but also since they have the Haka up at the top lane, pressuring the last remaining 4 of their opponent.
It allows you to keep that 4-man roaming to do whatever you want. You have that fallback just in case, that disengage of the Mighty Gust from Falstad. So you've got a lot that you can play around. They recognize that DeadlyKittens has dropped off completely, so CE going to go ahead and put their 4-man roaming back up there to take away any potential pressure from the DeadlyKittens.
For me personally, I really want to see Stronger with another good hook. He really impressed me on Tomb of the Spider Queen against MVP Black. He had a lot of good moments there. He started the game off with a couple of decent hooks as well. Right now we have... Oh! Henawir with the attempt.
Oh, that could have been so awkward to have. I mean, he might have had his Eldruins back by that time, but...
Yeah, he should have been trying to jump out. The thing is, Stitches was already walking over, anticipating that more or less. But talking Stitches, here we have that immediate attempt to isolate someone.
E.
Shift being used. And Henawir was trying to get the drag in, but Tacita moving away. Here comes the stun against the Haka. He went in a bit too deep. Zoning Void Prison, and it actually works out for now. The Ancestral saves them for a little bit longer, but that was a really cool move from CE.
Oh, Mur is way too far up, and Rhaegar is going to be the second to fall there, and you can see the coordination not quite there. Getting that onto the Tassadar, he has double E available when that Archon is available.
Now, I have to say that, first of all, I think the Kittens overstep a little bit. They're really greeding for kills right now. They feel pressured. They think, we have to do something. We have to make a move. So that's why the Haka, after he already knew Tacita was about to get away, just went in a little bit deeper and thought, what if maybe I can land that Tong, and all of a sudden they were engaged upon. But I have to admit that it was really funny to see that Void Prison, because at first you just look at the Void Prison and you think, oh my god, that was so bad. Then you think, wait a second, it's actually perfect for what it's supposed to be. Isolate the one target you're trying to kill.
Wow.
Everyone else that was attempting to move in was immediately zoned out, couldn't go into it, so they get a kill. And then they also grab Rega, so it's a 2-4-0.
They've decloaked, and the blink is already used. I don't even know if the Gorge is needed. He had no blink available the longer this goes. He's going to go down. I tell you what, though, is that they have tried so many times to pick that Tassadar. They haven't been able to do it. Instead, they get the Zeratul. Good play there to get the decloak, force out the blink, and then the hook to confirm the kill.
Yeah, but they have tunnel vision right now. They get the
definitely
kill.
do.
They get Zeratul. That's fantastic. But if you have 2 Siege Giants push through the bot lane and take down your entire wall, there has to be a reaction, and that reaction just wasn't there. So now they traded a Zeratul kill for an entire wall that they lost and added value. They still needed to make the rotation back down. Their opponent has level 16 already, so even with a double global, they are now heavily behind in experience, and they're just not getting any value here. They are way too eager. I mean, tunnel vision much. That's the only thing that I can say here right now.
Ah, man, they are just scant pixels away from getting some of these picks, and they're forced to use their global. They're forced to use the Ancestral Mighty Gust, not on a terribly long cooldown. But things just, it seems like the pressure might be getting to DeadlyKittens.
Yeah, they need to take a breath. They have the double global. They can play the macro game here. And they need to start doing that if they really want to close the gap in experience and also force advantageous fights. I like that they're eager to get a kill. It's just they are forcing it a bit too much instead of just playing what happens. I mean, you see your opponent taking a double camp at the bot lane, and their immediate thought, instead of going down and at least having the globals defend, is to make a play up top. So that's way too much opportunity for CE. They're not going to pass up on that.
Yeah.
Right now, the Kittens need the half level and then force a fight.
Yeah, we saw it last game, is that one team fight can really turn this around. You know, we see them hiding in the bush. CE right now, they're trying to scout this out, trying to look for a pick. And Wind, he is obviously on Tyrael. There's the Holy Ground. There is the Void Prison. And on the backside, they're going to go ahead and find themselves a Greymane. And they get the takedown. They're trying to put the pressure on to Wind. But Zay's already used his Mighty Gust, forced to fly out. We're going to see if Innover has much better luck, as he needs to get out of there as well. Isolation used, but that's not going to be enough, as 2 more members go down for DeadlyKittens.
9 kills against 1. More than a 2-level need now for CE and a boss up on the map. Falstead used the Gust already. They know this, of course. And even with Uther getting stunned by the boss here, it
tornado,
just doesn't matter. Yeah, that tornado can be brutal. You shall not pass. And then the boss just goes in for the stun. But it doesn't matter. They are going to finish it either way. And keep in mind, at the bot lane, the wall is gone. This is going to be a keep that is straight up going to be attacked by the boss. And I would be shocked if CE doesn't make. And I'm sure that they are going to get that structure.
16's picked up here for DeadlyKittens. That is something they definitely need to fall back on. The Temple phase should be spawning here momentarily, but bigger problems are ahead. If we see 1 pick lead into 2 picks, this is going to be game, but instead they've got the Gorge. I think that might have been an interruption. Yeah, they're...
Well, they have already. Aloof had to use the Divine Shield. That's at least the start to get the cooldown, but he sacrificed 2 to achieve it. Not sure if that was worth the trade. The keep is still falling, and we were talking about kills, Jay, how we might see Enemy fall, and indeed he does.
That tornado again, the MVP, is now they're starting to get onto the core. This is a 5 versus 4, and your biggest damage dealer isn't there. You don't have Mighty Gust. The boss is getting a little bit low. CE has to be extremely careful, as we can see Paradise trying to get the kill onto Falstad, unable to do so, but the shield is dropped, Caldor.
The shield dropped to 90, but they might not be able to end here. Will they? Stronger falls. They should be. Already we see the Void Prison being used. Falstad is also obliterated. Only 2 remaining, and this should be game as CE is moving in to confirm the kill and win the 3rd game. The core down to 50.
Nothing but a Greymane here to defend, but the poison damage is doing so much, and that's going to do it as the core has fallen and CE has taken down the SEA representatives of DeadlyKittens in a huge turnaround in this series.
Yeah, definitely a bit unexpected after the first game that we saw here, but they deserved the last game. We talked about mistakes made by CE on the first map, and I feel the situation is a bit reversed. CE was playing well, but the Kittens, you could see the pressure, as you said, getting to them, and they made mistakes that on Dragonshire, on Cursed Hollow, they just simply didn't make.
Yeah, and we've known that that has been a difficulty for DeadlyKittens before. In fact, that is why they decided to switch up their shot callers. But in this case, a lot of their globals getting caught out. They tried to make the global push happen up in the top, but yet people were too far out in the bottom when there was the tempo phase going on. So just these little things, maybe wanting to be able to execute a global comp like Fnatic, but there is a reason, right, why Fnatic is one of the few teams who is able to do it as well as Fnatic does it. It is hard. Everyone has to be on their toes all of the time.
I said it during draft 2 and going into draft 3. Sometimes too much of a good thing is a bad thing. And the globals that they've played, and it's very weird to say that because you're like, well, I've got this global, I should have this advantage, but they missed out picks. And it's kind of like fool's gold in the sense that, look, this looks really good. I think we're going to get this pick. Tassadar walks away. We're going to do this. They give up a bottom keep all. Things like that. It just, unless you are 100% sure, because you're going to sacrifice a little bit in team fighting when you go into things like that. You go into the double support. You go into the double global. Things like that. You got to give a little to get a little. And if you don't get as much as you possibly can out of those globals or that double support comp, you run into issues like we saw in the last 2 games is that they just did not look polished on those global heroes the way that you potentially could be Fnatic-esque.
A lot of the coordination that we would have expected with the Dehaka and Forster pick definitely wasn't quite there. And CE had really good engagers and always isolated targets on the map and then got their kills. Zeratul Void Prisons were absolutely on point the entire time. Great isolation from them and then a snap call on one specific target that they took down. And to me, Shy is really still that one player where I'm looking at it as like, is it the heroes that he plays? Is it the playstyle that he maybe uses with Greymane with his own team that he's just not that familiar with? Because if you look at how he performs on Lunara when his team is helping him out and then other heroes that he has shown in the past 2 series, it's night and day.
Yeah, it is. It may be a matter of what his hero comfortability is, but he's also just getting used to the team as well. But it does seem like every single series that CE plays, they ramp up together as a team. They start off slow, and then they ramp up, and that gets a little bit easier for them now because every series from here on out for them is a best of 5.
Just lose game 1, win the rest.
Well, if it's that easy, then I think they're going to have a great tournament ahead of them. But of course, the Kittens unfortunately are out. But we also have now Trixler on the stage, and he's currently talking to CE, so let's see what they have to say.
I'm here with the captain of CE, Aloof, and I want to go ahead and talk to you, man. You've played in 2 full series already. How does your roster stack up against the rest of the teams here in the tournament?
他说你已经打2季了，那你这2季打下来，你的 I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
How do you feel the roster that he currently has stands up against the rest of the tournament?
就是你现在玩的角色，你打这2季下来，你觉得打得如何？
我个人的话失误偏多，所以自己不满意这次发挥，但是队伍整体，毕竟这次来了一个新加入的其他队的队员，这次磨合的话还需要点时间，但这次刚刚打完这局比赛赢了的话，还挺高兴的。
He said he is not very satisfied with his own performance, but due to the teamwork and even though there's a new member in the team, they still need more practice to make the team cooperate more. But the result is good with this win, but they still need to practice more.
Well, speaking about that, obviously you guys will play tomorrow, but how do you even go about following up your progress made today and make sure you excel as a team for tomorrow's matches?
他说就是根据今晚的表现，然后你们会如何准备明天跟之后的比赛呢？
我们还是自己的打法就是还是固定不变，但是针对明天要面临的队伍会做相应的针对 ，BP 上针对。
He said they'll keep their own strategies, but they'll look for what the other teams they'll meet tomorrow and think of new strategies to go against them, also with their old strategies that they used.
Well, speaking of the next team, Soul Torturers versus SPT, who do you guys prefer to face off against?
就说明天的赛事的话，因为接下来队伍是 SPT 跟 ST 的对战，那你觉得哪一个队伍会获胜呢？
SPT.
He thinks that SPT will win.
Okay, well, we'll see if SPT will get the victory as they'll be playing next after this commercial break.